In 1974, during the height of the Cold War, the United States Naval Research Laboratory deployed an unclassified deep-sea mining exploration submersible called the Sea Serpent to the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Pacific. Its mission? Map manganese nodule fields. Its pilot? Marcus Thorne. What he reported seeing at 3,000 meters depth was not manganese, and within hours his log entries were classified. Within weeks, they vanished. This incident, shrouded in a pervasive governmental silence for decades, represents a pivotal yet largely unrecognized moment in the annals of naval exploration and potentially human understanding of Earth's hidden history. Marcus Thorne, a man whose career had been defined by a meticulous adherence to protocol and an unwavering commitment to empirical observation, found himself at the epicenter of an event that would redefine his life and cast a long, unsettling shadow over the official narrative of deep-sea exploration. His vessel, the Sea Serpent, a marvel of Cold War engineering designed for resilience and precision, descended into the abyss, equipped with advanced sonars, high-intensity lights, and manipulator arms capable of delicate retrieval. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone, a vast expanse of abyssal plain between Hawaii and Mexico, was at that time primarily known for its extensive deposits of polymetallic nodules, concretions rich in manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper, considered a potential strategic resource. Thorne's objective was straightforward: to conduct a detailed survey, quantifying the nodules' distribution and size. What Marcus Thorne encountered on the manganese-rich floor of the Pacific at a staggering 3 kilometers below the surface was anomalous. His initial reports, transmitted in real time to the surface vessel USNS Hayes, detailed an object of immense scale and intricate design. It was described as unmistakably artificial, exhibiting geometric principles and a structural integrity seemingly beyond any known terrestrial engineering capabilities of the era. This was not a geological formation, nor a known biological entity, nor a shipwreck. The sheer audacity of its presence, the profound implication of its origin, immediately triggered a response of unprecedented urgency within the Naval Command. The classification of Thorne's log entries, an act executed with swift and absolute authority, was the first indication of the gravity of his discovery. It wasn't merely a matter of national security. It was a matter of profound strategic and existential concern. The subsequent disappearance of these logs from all accessible records, a meticulous erasure of evidence, signals a deliberate and concerted effort to suppress information deemed too significant, too disruptive for public knowledge. This event underlines a critical truth, that some discoveries are not merely filed away, but actively removed from history, creating lacunae where inconvenient truths once resided. Understanding what Marcus Thorne saw and why his account was so thoroughly expunged is crucial for discerning the true extent of classified knowledge and the forces that safeguard it. The 1,970 seconds marked a nascent but ambitious era for deep-sea exploration, fueled by technological optimism and a growing recognition of the ocean's untapped resources. Submersibles like the Sea Serpent, though rudimentary by today's standards, represented the apex of underwater engineering. Designed primarily for resource prospecting and scientific survey, these vessels were remarkable feats of human ingenuity, capable of descending to extreme pressures and surveying vast swaths of the abyssal plain. Their crews were highly specialized, often comprising engineers, geologists, and, critically, experienced pilots. Marcus Thorne was one such pilot, a veteran of numerous deep-sea expeditions, renowned for his meticulous observation skills and unwavering adherence to protocol. His logs were routinely cited as exemplary, distinguished by their precision and an almost clinical objectivity, qualities that would later lend significant weight to his extraordinary claim. On that pivotal mission, the Sea Serpent was engaged in a routine mineral survey in a previously unmapped abyssal trench, approximately 3,000 meters below the surface. The conditions were typical of such depths: absolute darkness, near-freezing temperatures, and immense pressure. It was within this desolate environment that Thorne, through the submersible's forward viewport and aided by high-intensity sonar, made visual contact. His initial report, documented meticulously in his personal and official logs, was unambiguous. Visual contact with large freestanding structure. Appears to be of artificial construction. Material resembles polished dark stone. Details suggest ornate architectural design, consistent with monumental pre-classical styles. Estimated dimensions exceed 200 meters in height, over a kilometer in basal circumference. Proximity to seafloor indicates direct foundation. No discernible current technology or natural geological process could account for its presence here. Thorne's description of an ornate stone palace was not an embellishment, but a literal interpretation of the visual data he processed. This wasn't some fleeting anomaly on sonar. It was a clearly observed, unequivocal structure, defying every known scientific and historical timeline. The profound implication of a structure of such scale and sophistication, at such an extreme depth, constructed from unknown materials, immediately placed it beyond any conventional terrestrial explanation. It was neither a geological oddity, nor a known wreck, nor a natural formation. Thorne's report was precise, devoid of speculation. He described not just what he saw, but the quality of its construction, the style of its ornamentation, details that bespoke a deliberate, intelligent design. This direct, visual confirmation, corroborated by subsequent sonar and photographic data captured by Thorne's crew during their initial unauthorized reconnaissance, presented an uncomfortable truth. Human-like architects had built something colossal, eons before any accepted civilization had even conceived of rudimentary tools, let alone the capacity for deep-sea construction. The subsequent official denials, framing his observations as anomalous light refractions or uncharacteristic rock formations, directly contradicted the comprehensive and scientifically rigorous data Thorne had provided. This deliberate obfuscation began almost immediately, setting the stage for the complete removal of his logs from official archives, an act designed not merely to dismiss, but to eradicate the very memory of his monumental discovery. The immediate response to Thorne's detailed account was not an investigation, but an aggressive containment. His initial logs, meticulous records of sonar pings, photographic plates, and environmental readings, were instantly classified under protocols typically reserved for state secrets of the highest order. Then, within 72 hours, these same logs underwent a re-evaluation that resulted in their systematic alteration. Key descriptive passages were excised. Photographic evidence was digitally degraded or replaced with generic deep-sea imagery, and all references to the structure's scale and anomalous features were either redacted or recontextualized as geological curiosities. Most critically, the precise geo-coordinates of Thorne's discovery vanished, not merely from accessible databases, but from every known official record: naval charts, maritime intelligence archives, scientific research logs, even satellite imaging repositories. All were purged of the specific location. Any attempts to cross-reference Thorne's reported position with existing data yielded nothing but blank entries or deliberately misleading coordinates pointing to unremarkable abyssal plains. This digital eradication was swiftly followed by an official directive to all relevant governmental and scientific bodies. Thorne's findings were to be officially dismissed as an equipment malfunction during extreme depth operations, or, alternatively, an optical illusion induced by unusual thermocline conditions. This manufactured narrative was disseminated with remarkable speed and uniformity, effectively preempting any independent inquiry. Such rapid and coordinated suppression is not without historical precedent. Consider the swift government intervention following the Battle of Los Angeles in 1942, where eyewitness accounts and military reports of an unidentified aerial craft were quickly attributed to war nerves and misidentifications of weather balloons. Or the concerted effort to discredit and reframe Project Blue Book's findings on UFOs in the 1960s, consistently opting for terrestrial explanations despite compelling, unexplained data. More recently, the comprehensive silence and active redirection of public discourse surrounding anomalous aerial phenomena, despite declassified military footage, demonstrates a consistent pattern of governmental agencies prioritizing control of information over transparency when confronted with observations that fundamentally challenge established paradigms. In Thorne's case, the object of this intense obfuscation was something far more tangible and profoundly unsettling, necessitating an immediate and thorough erasure from the collective record. The method was clear: deny, discredit, and then systematically eliminate all traces of the inconvenient truth. The architect of this inconvenient truth, the man whose unblemished record was summarily dismantled, was Marcus Thorne, a name now almost entirely absent from official naval documentation. Before 1974, Thorne was a figure of quiet distinction within the United States Navy. His 22 years of service were marked by exemplary conduct, a reputation for meticulous execution of duty, and an unparalleled expertise in deep-sea salvage and underwater reconnaissance. He had overseen the recovery of countless sensitive items from the ocean floor, from downed aircraft to lost experimental equipment, all without incident or public controversy. His analytical mind and steadfast demeanor made him an ideal candidate for assignments where precision and discretion were paramount. That very expertise, however, became his undoing. Following the events on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, Thorne was abruptly, and without explanation, reassigned. His new posting was described euphemistically as a remote administrative post within the Naval Logistics Department, a role so far removed from his specialized skills as to be a pointed insult. It was, in essence, a professional exile, a subtle yet highly effective means of silencing a voice without resorting to overt imprisonment or public scandal. In the labyrinthine bureaucracies of governmental and military organizations, such reassignments are a well-worn tactic. Individuals who witness or discover something politically or existentially unsettling are not typically executed or publicly discredited. Instead, they are shunted to positions of obscurity, their access to information curtailed, their authority eroded, and their former influence systematically dismantled. Their careers are ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, suffocated by administrative red tape and professional isolation. Thorne, however, was not one to recede meekly into the shadows. While detailed logs of his efforts are, predictably, almost impossible to locate, whispers and fragmented accounts suggest several attempts to bring his findings to light. Reports from naval colleagues, since retired and speaking under conditions of anonymity, indicate he sought audiences with higher-ups within the Navy, and allegedly even attempted to communicate with a select few journalists known for investigating governmental overreach. Each attempt, it appears, was systematically thwarted. Doors were closed, phone calls were left unreturned, and his official correspondence vanished into bureaucratic black holes. The forces that kept him quiet were not solely overt threats. They were the insidious pressures of a system designed to protect itself, employing a sophisticated network of gatekeepers, confidentiality agreements, and the implied threat of social and professional ostracization. The personal cost of such discoveries, therefore, extended far beyond the initial shock of the encounter. For Marcus Thorne, it meant the termination of a distinguished career, the erosion of his professional identity, and the imposition of a pervasive, suffocating silence. He was, in effect, rendered a non-person. His story serves as a stark reminder of the intrinsic vulnerability of even the most respected professionals when their observations conflict with narratives too fundamental to be challenged. What Thorne saw transformed him from a trusted naval officer into an inconvenient truth, demonstrating that the pursuit of uncomfortable realities often comes at an unbearable personal price. Yet, whispers persist. Even in the chilling silence surrounding Thorne's disappearance from the public record, echoes of his observations have manifested in curious ways, forming a fragmented tapestry of corroborating evidence. Anonymous sources, individuals who worked tangentially on various deep-sea exploration projects during the same period, have, under strict conditions of anonymity, alluded to the existence of highly unusual sonar readings and inexplicable geological anomalies in the specific oceanic quadrants Thorne was known to frequent. These accounts often arrive shrouded in a palpable sense of fear, describing intense institutional pressure to reclassify or simply ignore data that deviated from established paradigms. One such former technician, speaking off the record, described a sudden recall of a research vessel years ago, mid-mission, after its advanced bathymetric sensors detected geometric structures on the abyssal plain far too uniform to be natural formations. The official explanation provided was a technical malfunction, yet the crew, including this technician, knew otherwise. The data logs, naturally, were never seen again publicly. Further compelling hints can be found in declassified documents, though these require careful and almost archaeological interpretation. Reports from naval intelligence, dating from the late 1970s and early 1980s, concerning unidentified submerged objects often contain heavily redacted sections describing advanced propulsion signatures or sonar profiles incongruous with known submarine capabilities. While these documents never explicitly name Marcus Thorne or his project, the temporal and geographical proximity to his alleged discoveries is striking. One particular memo, referencing an unprecedented environmental impact assessment for a deep-sea mining operation that was ultimately canceled without public explanation, contains references to anomalous biological and structural integrity issues at extreme depths. The heavily obscured paragraphs that follow hint at discoveries that would necessitate an immediate and permanent cessation of all human activity in the region, referencing a potential risk to global stability. The very language employed, so stark and absolute, suggests findings far beyond mere mineral deposits. Moreover, the deep-sea exploration community itself, a notoriously tight-knit and often secretive group, harbors its own persistent rumor mill. Tales circulate of research expeditions encountering bizarre, non-biological sound emissions or discovering cavern systems at depths previously thought impossible for their formation. Some even speak of accidental encounters with colossal, yet inert, metallic formations on the seabed, objects so vast they defy conventional explanation. These are rarely discussed openly, often dismissed as folklore or misinterpretations, yet they are recounted with an unnervingly consistent detail among those who have spent their lives probing the ocean's darkest reaches. Such anecdotes, when juxtaposed with the specific details of Thorne's rumored account, begin to form a pattern, suggesting that his experience, while singular in its intensity, was not entirely isolated. These collective whispers, these fragments of unofficial history, lend a haunting, undeniable weight to the notion that something extraordinary was indeed witnessed in the abyssal depths, something whose disclosure was deemed too profound, too disruptive, to ever reach the public consciousness. The systemic suppression of Thorne's narrative, therefore, isn't an isolated incident, but rather a chilling chapter in a broader, unwritten history of hidden discoveries. The implications are stark and unsettling. What Thorne is alleged to have seen, a structure of immense scale, exhibiting an impossible level of technological advancement for any known period of terrestrial civilization, fundamentally reconfigures our understanding of Earth's past, and indeed, its present. Such an artifact, if real, speaks to an intelligence and capability that transcends humanity's documented ascent. It suggests a hidden history, a submerged narrative far more complex and profound than the neatly packaged timelines taught in our schools and universities. The deliberate, systematic erasure of Thorne's observations, the disappearance of his logs, the silencing of those who might corroborate his story, are not merely acts of bureaucratic oversight. They are acts of profound historical re-engineering. This isn't about protecting national security in the conventional sense. It is about maintaining a constructed reality, a manageable narrative of human progress that cannot accommodate anomalies of such magnitude. The existence of such a structure, hidden for millennia beneath the crushing weight of the ocean, raises questions that reverberate through every pillar of our established knowledge: scientific, historical, even philosophical. What other truths are buried beneath the waves, or beneath layers of sanctioned oblivion? What knowledge, What fundamental understandings of our planet and its ancient inhabitants are actively being withheld from the public consciousness? The deep ocean remains Earth's last true frontier, a vast unexplored realm that holds more secrets than we can possibly imagine. Thorne's experience, however apocryphal it may now seem, forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that some of these secrets are not merely undiscovered, but actively guarded. The power dynamics involved in such suppression are immense, reflecting a profound desire to control not just information, but the very shape of our collective reality. To admit such a discovery would be to dismantle deeply entrenched historical paradigms and to acknowledge a truth that might prove too disruptive for the delicate balance of contemporary society. The ocean, in its vast, silent expanse, truly holds its secrets, but perhaps, sometimes, it offers a glimpse into a history far grander and more terrifying than we are prepared to accept. If you find yourself questioning the official timeline of human history, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss our next investigation.